Hey, welcome to my channel. I wanted to create a video for Arc Raiders. A lot of us have been playing it, and this is going to be my first video ever uploaded to YouTube, so hopefully it is very informative. I wanted to create it because I've looked at a lot of videos, tutorials, and streamers out there, and frankly, their guides are just not that great. A lot of misinformation, not enough advanced tips, not enough simple tips that can kind of really help you through the game. And so I feel like I have a lot of good information to offer, so I wanted to create something that everybody can kind of quickly go through and just get better at the game in general. Covering things like stash management, target farming, weapon upgrading, crafting logic, loadout discipline, but I'll first start with just sort of quick things to make money since 5 million seems to be a lot of people's goals. There's a lot of good videos out there already, a lot of good content on how to make money. So I'm not going to get into the same things that they've kind of already covered. But I will kind of mention that Lush events are definitely the fastest way to make money. You can kind of get out in an extract with at least, 100 to 125K in a simple Lush, just one run. And outside of that, it's just really kind of understanding loot and what things sort of values are in stacking. And let's just kind of get right into it. I'm going to speak kind of fast, but that's just to not waste anybody's time and eliminate all types of fluff. So the first thing I'll kind of get into is what are some sort of good items that you want to be farming, and what are sort of the best things to do to make a ton of money. And so without further ado, um, if we're talking about a Lush event, just realize that everything is either 640 or 1,000 that you're pretty much picking up. And the reason it makes you so much money is because essentially grabbing resin, agave, fertilizer, mushrooms, they're all going to have 1,000 each, especially agave, mushrooms, and resin because they stack to 10. This website, for those that don't know, arcraiders.wiki/wiki/loot. Sometimes this front page is not that accurate, but this page, when you dive right in, will be accurate. So in general, for the Lush event, they're either 640 to 1,000, all stacked to 10, except for the fertilizer. So if you do a Lush event, you're going to want to get these things in your safe pocket. And outside of that, a Lush event is really only beneficial if you're able to kind of grab 3, 4, 5 baskets. One or two, you might actually kind of want to drop some of these things because grabbing 2 apricots, that's only going to be 1280, so it's not going to really be that beneficial. So for Lush events to be profitable, you want to kind of get a big stack size. That being said, that kind of goes with any of the items that you're going to be looting for. So sometimes people just drop all green items. The honest truth about it is, though, is that a lot of the green items actually stack to 15. And so when you're kind of looking at different things that you're going to be picking up, you kind of want to understand of like the area that you're in and what you're going to be picking up, because picking up wires in a heavy wire area may be higher profit than picking up 1,000 item, even if it's blue. And so just understanding that aspect. Outside of that, I wanted to kind of just jump right into the deep aspects of the game and kind of specifically breaking down just different things that you guys might not know, and kind of running through just the best ways to do stash management and understanding how to sort of manage everything that you're doing, move fast, and really the ultimate goal is I want you guys to always be going out there with the best weapons, never having to free loot. Right now, free loot is kind of the meta, but it really is not that great. And part of the reason is because you don't have a lot of stash spots. But the other part of the reason is that you don't ever need to free loot. Like if you follow these techniques, I promise you, you could go out with a kit every single time, and even if you die time and time again, you should be still totally fine. So I'm going to try to teach you how to be extremely sustainable in a very, very short amount of time. And so just kind of just jumping right into it, the first thing I just want to kind of run over is when you're picking up items, kind of understanding what they break into. I'll see people like, look at this broken gun, they won't pick it up, but me recycling 2 of these gives me 10 simple gun parts, which is amazing. And so instead of stacking 10 gun parts, I can just grab 2 of those. Or instead of having 3 gun parts, I can grab 2 of those. Knowing what the key sort of materials are is probably the most important first thing that you should know. Because kind of coming into this game, you're lost in the sauce. And so I'll just kind of let you know the only main element that you really need to pick up as much as humanly possible are springs. Springs are probably the hardest to get of all of the materials at a consistent basis. So kind of knowing and understanding the different items that break down into the springs. Right now there's like 4. It's the coil, spring mattress, the rusted tool, and I can't even remember the 4th one. But you get the idea. So understanding what they break down into the springs, that's essentially very important for that. Now, moving on, I'm going to sort of start top to bottom for stash management. So how do you kind of manage this 280 without necessarily going over? Well, the first key element here is how is the most amount of materials or value can I pack into one square? That is the sort of general theory and the general sort of understanding that you need to know kind of moving into this. And really the best way to do it is with weapons, with raw materials, and with very few quick use items. Outside of that, you really shouldn't have any augments or shields if you can craft them. The only reason I would even keep an augment in here is if I'm like switching to a new augment and I just want to keep the previous one, or if I can't craft it and I found it on the floor, like I don't have the blueprint for it yet and I want to keep it. Shields, on the other hand, any light shields you shouldn't ever need to have in your stash. It's pretty pointless. You can maybe have one if you really want, but it is just a waste of a square, in all honesty. Medium shields, heavy shields, maybe have 1 or 2, but you can craft them. So you don't want these 2 to take up more than, I would say, 3 squares out of your 280, or the 294 when we move outside of the expedition, if you do reach the 5 mil. Hopefully with this video you will. Weapons, you can have really as many as you want. I try to kind of remain between about 60 and 70. But the sort of key element to the weapon is you always want them to be fully upgraded. I'll get into that in a second, of how do I, make sure that they're always fully upgraded and never ever have a weapon that's not fully upgraded. It's pretty easy, but I'll kind of get into that. Ammunition, you kind of want to look at about 7 or 8 spots for that. The reason being that you would want any spots for ammunition is because it is a pain to kind of always have enough chemicals and metals to sort of, put this stuff together. And really the goal of this video is to teach you how to sort of keep yourself sustainable so you never need to buy from the store. Weapon mods, you always want to have 0. Like kind of going with the previous content of what I was talking about, is you don't want to ever have any weapon mods because, in this case scenario, why would you want to have 3 extra slots for this when you could just store it on a weapon, right? And as you're sort of moving through, you're going to want to be kind of putting your better attachments to the better weapons. And if you have more mods than weapons, just craft another weapon. It's very simple as that. It's better to have a new weapon with the weapon attachment on it than it is to just have weapon attachments sitting in your gear. And if you ever need to grab a weapon mod, like if I need this, I can either craft this because I have plenty of materials for it, or I can take it from a pre-existing weapon. Moving down to quick use. Quick use is kind of a funny one. Ideally, a lot of you probably have a lot of quick use slots. You guys might even be all the way up to 60, or if you've been running into a lot of PvP, you might be down to almost nothing. But generally speaking, you don't want to have anything in here that is going to take up more slots than the crafting materials that itself to make it. Snap hooks I keep in here, for example, because I don't have the blueprint. So anything you don't have the blueprint for and you do like to use, I would keep it in there. But keep yourself sort of disciplined enough to understand that if you're not going to use the item, just sell it. I used to like going a lot of shrapnel grenades, for example, but shrapnel grenades take the best element of the game, which is springs, so I don't typically craft them. Otherwise, I would be kind of going out with a lot of shrapnel grenades if I'm not going out with timed grenades. So the kind of element here is to make sure that these are taking up the least amount of slots. So what does that necessarily mean? Well, the shield rechargers and the shield rechargers take up less slots as a quick use item than they do as crafting materials, because the crafting materials for a shield recharger is essentially rubber and arc charger. So anytime you can craft these when you have the arc power cells for them, because essentially it will take up less slots here than it will as raw materials. And that's kind of the concept that you want to go into. Blaze grenades are kind of one of those elements that takes up less slots, but other types of elements typically don't. Like bandages do not. So you don't see me having any bandages here, but yet if I needed to, I could craft as many bandages as I ever would want to, and that's what I'm going to kind of show you. The keys, I typically keep a very little amount of keys. You don't really want this to get stocked up. A lot of you have it really stocked up. At the end of the day, you're not going to get the craziest loot. You might die trying to hunt these key loots. So if you have a lot of green keys, for example, honestly, I would either try to run them, just bring them out, or and just not even safe pocket them. If you die with them, you die with them, and just move on. You don't really need to be stocking a lot of keys here. I hope that sometime in the future they update it so that they can recycle to some materials or sell based on their rarity value. But as of right now, it doesn't. Crafting materials. This is what I'm really going to kind of dive into, is like what crafting materials to keep, how to sort of keep it so that you have a good system to sort of craft whatever you need at any given point in time. And so kind of moving on to the next portion, and then I'm going to kind of get into the workbenches, and then I'll finalize by just sort of coming back here. But is when do I recycle and when do I sell, and when do I just keep the necessary item? Well, recycling you typically only do when the recycle amount is going to be higher, for weapons is going to be higher value than the sell amount. Or it's a blue or a purple item and you really want the raw materials and you're not going to use that weapon. But typically it's based on the durability. Once the durability falls below a certain number, it's better to recycle than it is to sell, if you do want to get rid of that weapon. Now, you can tell if the parts of it are going to be more expensive than the gun by just hitting recycle. I can tell that it sells for 505, but if I hit recycle and I hover over these, I can tell that it's 325. So in this case, it is better to sell than it is to recycle, unless, of course, I need the actual raw parts. In general, a lot of the purple items, like the Exodus modules and things, they won't sell. They will sell for way more. This is 8,250 for 3 of them, as opposed to, in this case, it's 3,000 plus 1,800, 4,800. So it's almost, 40%. It's not a good situation for what you're only losing like a little bit if these processors, for example, are very, very easy to come by. So it's always better to sell these when you have excess as opposed to recycle them. And just kind of going down the line, a lot of the new ones in Salamantis, like these that you kind of find a lot, do have a lot of good recyclable value, so you do want to check that. But in the general gist of things, you kind of want to just hover over, look at the value, and compare to like what I need to what I don't. Moving on to the sort of workbenches is how do I sort of get it to where I'm extremely sustainable? Well, the sort of key here is with weapon upgrades, you want to make sure that really all of your weapons are upgraded to the highest level, and so that you're never bringing in a low level weapon. Why is that? Well, because you don't need to. You don't need to bring in level 1 weapons. Now, I think with the gray weapons, it's kind of fine to run in with a level 3, because as I'll demonstrate here, is it doesn't start really taking any difficult parts until we get into level 4. Right, at level 4, we're starting to get into mechanical components, and so in that case, you don't necessarily need to go to level 4 for these gray weapons, but it does really benefit them. The levels of the weapons do matter a lot, and for the light cost of the materials, it doesn't make really that much of a difference. And the great part about this screen is you can sort of get it to the point where you can come here, if there's any weapons that are not upgraded, just upgrade it, and then this is kind of almost your to-do list, because once I upgrade this, bam, the screen is up. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. As far as the augments, I'm going to kind of run through this really quick just to kind of keep you guys and give you guys an idea. There are, as of right now, before the cold snap patch, there are 2 augments of each type. So there's 2 combats, 2 looting, and 2 tacticals. The main differences between them are the quick slots, and all of just the general slots, and what types of shield they can run with. So I typically have 3 different play styles. I'm just going to run through those really quick. I have a light shield looting MK that I run for when I want to do looting stuff. I use my tactical MK3 with a medium shield when I want to do arc, big arc, trials and things like that, because it has 3 safe pockets and 7 sort of quick use slots. So I can bring a lot of stuff out there, and if I find anything useful, I can safe pocket it, and it's not that serious. And when I'm going into combat, I'm usually running this. Because I can run a heavy shield, it gives me enough loot spots. It only has 1 safe pocket, but when I'm going to PvP, I'm not trying to safe pocket a lot of things. That's not my goal for those runs. And so it really kind of depends on the type of situation that I'm running to, but that's where I'm at here. Now, if you don't have purple augments, that's fine. You'll eventually find them. The easiest way to find the purple augments right now is in Blue Gate in the downstairs. breach locker, but essentially, if you're not running that, you just want to kind of keep in mind what the sort of level of shield compatibility is. But in general, why I'm kind of stopping here is to just kind of let you know of the types of materials that these are offering. And when I run into the materials and I go through that as sort of the more final part of the video, you'll see, I'll tell you exactly what you sort of need if you want to be consistently running purple augments every single run and never have to not run a non-purple augment ever again. For refining, this is a part that I think is actually extremely useful. I've never seen anybody make a video on this, so I'm going to kind of run through this. There's no easy way to see the total count, right? Like if I want to go and see what is my total count of advanced mechanical components, or what is my total count of medium gun parts, or any of these things, well, actually the best way to see it is actually going to a blueprint that typically requires it. So the way I typically run, if I'm like running out of space and I'm trying to figure out what to do, is I go to my magnetic accelerator, not to actually craft it, but to look, and I have 50. Now, let's say, for example, just for demonstration purposes, let's say I have, 49. I know that all of pretty much the blue elements, they all stack to 5. The green elements stack to 10. Very simple to remember. So if this is at 49, that lets me know I can go here and I can craft one, and bam, it's not going to take up any more slots. For advanced electrical components and arc circuitry, I go here. So I start off by kind of going here and seeing how much advanced mechanical components I have. I'm not crafting the magnetic accelerator. I'm using this for the total count. Power rod, I'm using this for the total count. I have 2 more spots for advanced electrical components, so I might as well just do that. Boom, 2. Now I know that this is full stack and not taking up any extra space. Going through all of these the same sort of way. Again, electrical components is a green thing. It goes up to 10. I know I can craft 4 more. So when I want to fill this out, I craft 4 more, and boom, I got the 30 that I want. Mechanical components is 15. Again, these go up to 10. So I can do 5 more. Boom. And now I'm at 20. How many do you need of each one? Well, let me just kind of really quickly run through this without getting into too much craziness. Advanced mechanical components you're using for weapon upgrades, weapon repairs of blue and purple weapons. Advanced electrical components, you're using it for purple augments. Essentially, that's the gist of it. You don't really need that many advanced electrical components. You do need a lot of advanced mechanical components as you are getting your weapon game up. Right now I have 50 of them, mainly because I was going to farm for the Bobcat blueprint. But just to kind of give you a gist of it, you'll see that they do sort of take a certain amount of materials. And so you kind of are keeping on hand really the advanced mechanical components until you have a large enough stash of weapons to where you don't need to sort of carry those anymore. Antiseptics, you can do it really with as many as you could ever possibly imagine. You're always going to need them if you are kind of running with my strategy of always using blue bandages or Vita shots or Vita sprays. You're going to just always need infinite. You never can have really too many antiseptics. It would be kind of crazy if you just got so good at the game that you never died, and you would have too many antiseptics. But typically, you can really never run out of this. Arc circuitry, you don't really need that many of them, but pretty much whenever I have arc alloy, the only thing I'm using arc alloy for is arc circuitry. I think early game, you could use it for like your light shields and things like that. But light shields is one of those things that I don't really care if I buy that from the store. It's just a one-time purchase kind of thing, and I'm never really running light shields unless I'm going to loot MK. So doesn't really matter for me. I'm not building arc motion cores at all, and I'm not doing secret grenades, so it really doesn't matter. Now, you do these for wolf packs, so technically you could save some of your arc alloy to make wolf packs. I don't craft wolf packs, so it's not something that I'm needing it for. So for me, the only thing I focus on is these 4 blues and these 4 blues. So I'm not crafting this, or this. Or I'm sorry, not crafting this or this. So for heavy gun parts, medium gun parts, light gun parts, I'll get into that later, but essentially you need them as you're kind of getting into the higher tier weapons. You'll need more and more of them. For me personally, I only keep 1 stack of light gun parts, about 3 stacks of heavy gun parts, and infinite stacks of medium gun parts. Mod components you need for crafting different mods for different gear. I kind of feel the same way about antiseptics, as I could kind of never have enough. But these it really, I don't need them. But the reason I don't really care too much is because each one is worth 1750, so it really doesn't matter if I have to sell one later. So I'm kind of fine to craft these, but I'm not like this one where I'm literally crafting it until I run out of chemicals. This one I'm kind of saving until I, you know, get to a point where I need more. Crude explosive, I'm pretty much using this for my favorite, obviously the meta grenade, the trigger grenade. That's the only time I'm really using them, and so I'm kind of crafting them when I need it. And you know, when I'm going to the trigger grenade and I see, oh, I have 45 out of 30, I might craft 3. Then I have 39, and I'm like, okay, I'll go back here and I'll craft 11 because, oh, but I don't have enough chemicals. But that's essentially the gist. And so since I don't have enough, I'm only going to craft 1 so that I top it off to 40. Not saying you have to get that detailed. I'm just trying to kind of get you to a point where you're not wasting stash space and not knowing what to do. So again, if you run out of stash space, you're kind of wanting to craft these 4 to the max. Outside of that, you can craft these as you need them. I always keep a little bit of simple gun parts. In this case, I have a lot because I haven't really needed any other sort of gun parts, but just in general, I'm kind of crafting up a lot of these medium gun parts. And then mechanical components, I typically keep at about 30. It's about 20 right now. So, you know, just for all intents and purposes, craft it up. And just to kind of show you again what I mean by kind of taking up space. So 10 is one slot in your inventory. This is taking up, it's 50 for each one of these, right? So this is taking up essentially 3 slots or 2.5 slots of inventory to make and combine it into 1 slot. And then if I go up to this point and I craft 5 of them, it's taking a single slot of mechanical components plus almost a full slot of steel springs. So that's how I'm like reducing the amount of slots and getting it to the point where I'm saving on stash space. For medical, until you get the Vita spray, you know, it can be different. You might have the Vita shot, you might not have either. But I'm typically going 3 bandages every single run. I was doing herbal bandages for a while, and I think it's useful if you're kind of running it with like a Vita shot or something that's giving you a big boost. But ideally, the way that I run my bandage game is I have something that gives me a lot of healing at once and something that gives me small healing. So before I got the Vita spray, I was running sterilized bandages and then regular bandages for the small and for the big heals. Likewise, I could do herbal bandages and maybe a Vita shot or just straight herbal bandages right out the gate. I never have any extra arc power cells because, again, they take up less slots when I craft them versus when I don't. Moving on to explosive grenades, I'm pretty much, for me personally, I'm only crafting trigger grenades, blaze grenades, and I'm using whatever my stockpile is of traps for key rooms. And that kind of runs it from that. The only thing I'm crafting here is the Raider hatch key. I typically don't use any of these things. Sometimes I'll craft a zip line or a barricade kit for the fun, but that's essentially that. The sort of last part I wanted to kind of go over is just sort of a quick glance at your crafting and how to sort of get it to a good position and how do you know how much you have to keep. I'm not going to go into too much detail, each person their own. I'm keeping 3 of these and 6 of these to craft 3 purple weapons. That's essentially it. Outside of that, if I get any more magnetic accelerators, I'm throwing them away. I'm selling them. These I was just kept keeping for just the sake of it. And then I keep about 9 power rods so I can always have enough heavy shields. And so like I would come to my stash and I'd be like, oh, I need 1, refine, power rod, boom, bam, now fill up the slot. These I don't really need that many. These advanced mechanical components I typically don't need unless, I need them just essentially to do these 3 weapons. So once I've kind of finished these 3 weapons, then I won't really need these as much. Since I'm probably going to sell everything for the 5 million anyways, I don't even know if I'm going to craft those weapons. But it will burn a lot. Just to craft these 3 weapons, it will burn a lot of your stuff. But outside of that, you won't really need to keep as many as these, aside from just for repairs. Antiseptics, like I said, I keep a lot of. Arc circuitry, I'm kind of just getting as much as I need. I'm using them for heavy shields and medium shields. The power rods for the heavy shields. Only 1 stack of explosive compounds in the case that I want more blaze grenades. But typically, I would rather, instead of having explosive compounds, I would honestly just rather just craft the 5 blaze grenades. Now I got rid of a slot of that, and I created a slot of that. Right? And so that's sort of the gist of it. Kind of moving on into some of these. Again, you don't really need any medium gun parts aside from, I'm sorry, you need a lot of medium gun parts to sort of upgrade your weapons, but gun parts in general, you can always just kind of keep getting more and more. And kind of running through all of these, you don't necessarily need to kind of get into too much detail. The one things I will say is I'm just going to point out some things that you don't need too many stacks of. So that's kind of the last I'll go through here, and then I'm going to move on to sort of the final part, which is the store. So sensors, I really don't keep more than 3. I'm using them for Raider hatch keys. Voltage converters, probably 3 for heavy shields. Batteries, 3 to 4. I really don't need to stock up many of that. There's a lot of places you can go to easily get 15 in a run. Canisters, you probably really only need one stack. Crude explosives, I'm using a lot of trigger nades, so really kind of 4 or 5. Duct tape, you probably only really need 1 or 2 for mods. Durable cloth, you could really kind of get a lot of these. Again, especially early game, once you kind of like built out your antiseptics and you've built out everything, you really won't need as much for just a straight blue bandage game. Great Mullen, you're always trying to grab that. So every once in a while, the only thing you really will need to target farm with this strategy is just maybe going to Buried City, specifically here at the Galleria to get Mullen. You just need to go here. You get about 35 in a run. Maybe just drop into the train right here. Boom, boom. That's it. Do like 2 runs of that. You're gonna have more than enough Mullen than you can do with. Magnets, you really don't need them at all. Once you move up to MK3s. At MK2s, you're gonna need them, but once you move up to MK3s, you won't need them at all. Simple gun parts, you probably only need 3 stacks. Springs, I'm pretty much always stacking them because if I need advanced mechanical components, if I want to make certain mods or mod components, it's really the primary hardest thing to get, or it's just kind of a pain to like target farm for springs. It's just not fun. Metal, in order of what's most important to least important, metal most important, then rubber, then fabric, until you get enough durable cloth, and then plastic parts. Last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to finish with this video, is the traders. So just starting with Celeste. A lot of people I see sell their seeds. I don't think that's necessary. I'm always kind of going in here, and at the beginning of the game, I'm grabbing all 4 of the gun parts until I have a massive amount of them. And even if I don't need the gun part, I'll just recycle it for simple gun parts. And so really, at the beginning of the game, I'm just getting the gun parts.
Just finishing up my coffee, and then it's back to
saving
work.
a little bit next money for the next reset, because I might not be playing that much. I might only play an hour a day, and so I don't want to spend all of my money if I kind of need it for something else or something specific. So I kind of go in order of, I need medium gun parts, then heavy, then simple, then light, as far as the gun parts. I'm always kind of getting steel springs on cooldown. Outside of that, you can cherry pick some of these other ones that you need. The only ones I've really kind of seen a need for is really the Mullen, the Moss. These I always have. You just do a couple breach lockers, you get them. Batteries are probably the easiest thing to get in the game. Wires you need if you're crafting a lot of mods, but outside of that, you really don't need that many. And also for the advanced electrical components, I believe.
What do you want this
you
time?
can buy, but why when you can just craft it? Guns, I'm never buying anything from here. Except for the extended light mag because I don't have the blueprint if I'm running a gray weapon, for example, and maybe some mods. The only thing I ever do is buy ammo from here outside of this extended light mag, and the only reason I buy the ammo is if I just don't want to burn my chemicals and metal parts. So I think it's fair to say that you can buy ammo here, can buy the light extended mag, but anything else I wouldn't buy. Moving on to the clinic, I see a lot of people spending money on this. This seems absolutely stupid to me. Dude, just do a run where you kill a couple wasps, get out. You're going to have more than enough shield rechargers, especially if you're in a group. Typically, nobody is looting these things. You'll find as you're going through dead drones, just pick it up, grab some shield rechargers. You will have more shield rechargers than you would ever know what to do.
You think I'd look good in a wig?
Easily be able to
or maybe
always run every raid with at least 5 of these, if not 5 of these and like 3 of these, if you really wanted to. Like there's so much sustain to easily kind of get it to the point. Bandages are really easy to craft. Just takes a little bit of fabric. Spending $4,000 plus, another $8,000 on this, $11,000 to $12,000 on just this is stupid. And they're not even the best heals, right? Like this is the Surge Shield Recharger is better because it gives you 50 in 5 seconds versus 10 seconds. And so if I'm playing against somebody and they're pushing me, and I can get this off in 5 seconds, he's going to have partial shield, right? So in that same 5 seconds, he's only going to have 20 of his shield recharge. I'm going to already have 50 recharge. So it is significantly better to go with the better items. And you want to be consistently getting to the point where you're doing it. Obviously, it's okay to do free loot Stella Mantis or something just for fun, but generally speaking, that's the case. You don't want to be buying heavy shields. You should craft them. You don't want to be buying augments. You should craft them. And so really the only thing you should ever need to buy here, I would say, is the Surge Shield Recharger, because you did hunt enough arcs to get it. And so it's kind of fine to grab this every once in a while just to have a good stockpile of it. And defibs, of course, because you didn't have the moss. Or you don't have the blueprint for it. For this one, I'm never buying anything on this screen. Maybe if they change it. Might consider buying a smoke grenade if I'm just feeling it for some particular reason, or a jolt mine. But I think that would be crazy because I could just craft these. The smoke grenade, I do not have a blueprint for yet.
I know they don't look like much, but you won't find better
to cover there. I will also mention that, quickly, as far as the quests go, you're really doing them for the blueprints. There are some aspects, maybe they will change with the new patch or something else where they could be, beneficial or just for the fun of doing it. But you can go online and figure out what quests give blueprints, do that line of quests, and kind of fall off from there. Trials, the purple boxes are actually pretty fantastic. So just doing these to get the purple box, because they'll give you a lot of blueprints, they'll give you a lot of good stuff. But if they're too difficult, like the search supply drops, don't really worry about it. Like, don't stress yourself about doing this. And really, I would only try to climb up these leaderboards if you are so abundant in money and resources that you don't care about losing, because you will spend a lot of money trying to hunt these. But that being said, it is beneficial and profitable to hunt Big Arc if you do it properly. That's for another time, and I thank you so much. And if you like this, please like and subscribe, and have a good day.